What's going on, everybody? It is Monday, October 16th, and it is 2023, and it's been a while. I guess I kind of went missing there for a while, but I'm back, right? So I'm sure everybody's so happy to see that I'm back. Um, First of all, I just kind of want to touch base with everybody, and I actually said in the caption there that what have I missed in the community? I just happened to catch a video. I think Unclean Hands or somebody had shared one earlier of Chili, of course, acting goofy again, which that's not a big shocker to anybody, I don't think. So. Uh, and if it is a shocker, then you're probably not going to be too impressed with me. So, um, but uh, but yeah, I've just kind of been a little away a little bit. I went through a little spell there for a while where I was on day shift, and let me tell you, I don't do well on day shift. It's not really. It's not really so much the getting up early thing really consistently as is it's kind of a it kind of throws me off, you know. Um I can't say that it's more I can't say that it's not getting up early because it kind of is. But it kind of is more one of those things where by the time I do get off and it feels like, okay, well, now I've got like all day to be able to do what I want to. And then I realize that I'm extremely tired and I don't really feel like doing anything. So it just kind of starts to cycle back over. So I've always been on midnights. Well, the majority of my career, I've been on midnights. Um, so I guess I kind of feel better there overall. So I'm back on midnights now. So I'm hoping to be able to kind of do more interactive stuff, and hopefully be able to do more lives and videos and stuff. So, and I also have my Leducator Outdoors channel, which I've been posting a little bit for hunting season and stuff. So, but I wanted to just kind of hop on here for a little bit today and just kind of say hi to everybody and see what's going on with everybody and just kind of catch back up a little bit. So, naturally there's a lot of crazy things going on, not only in the YouTube community, but the world right now. So, man, um, I guess that's probably good that it's not within my hands to be able to make those decisions at some of the crazy stuff going on. But anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. And I don't know if anybody else is dealing with this, but this weather stuff, man, it goes so back and forth. Like we'll have like one day here where it's like, it'll be like 85 degrees. No kidding. Like 85 degrees. And then the very next day, it'll be like 45 to 50 most of the day. Like today, it's like really chilly outside. So yeah, it's not real comfortable for me. So, but let me check in with you guys here in the chat. Once again, guys, like I said in the beginning, I'm kind of going to be dealing with a little bit of rustling this stuff because it's been a while. So bear with me. I'll do my best. Update on the injury. You know what? Wow, it's weird you say that. I literally just kind of aggravated my knee again the other day. I never did actually go seek any type of treatment for it. It's kind of one of those things where, I can usually take some ibuprofen and kind of put some pressure on it, keep it wrapped a little bit for a few days, and it kind of goes away as long as I don't do anything to kind of aggravate it. So I've kind of left it alone. But the other day, oddly enough, when I was hunting, I just happened to twist my leg a certain way and ouch, here we go again. So, and like a knucklehead, I busted my hind end 2 or 3 times. And I've done a review on my hunting boots on my other channel, and I'm going to blame the hunting boots because the traction on them is so bad. And it really is like legit, really, really bad. But, either way, I probably still look like a fool. So, hopefully, I don't take too many spills out there. So, and that, you know what, honestly, if I do, I do, I've fallen down so many times. Like I should be a professional at it, like it's like, if clumsy was a professional sport, I could probably make a lot of money. So I don't know, but anyway, let's see who else. ZXL Master, how you doing? Conspiracy. And guys, keep in mind too, Terry was going to be, I was going to tell you, Terry was going to join us. But he's kind of running some errands and doing kind of his own thing today, and he's kind of having a tough time being able to get free to be able to do so. So I'm just going to hang out with you guys for a little bit and talk about some different things, and then we'll probably schedule something. I had made mention about doing some type of a stream with Spencer Fisher again. Hi, Miss Mandy. Hi, Pat. And I don't know for sure when we're going to do that, but Spencer, if you don't know, he's been on my channel before, and he is he's an ex-UFC fighter. And he's a really, really great guy. He's an avid outdoorsman. But he's kind of got an interest in like the paranormal type stuff and like the UFO type stuff. And it's just kind of neat. And I figured I could have him on here and we could do some kind of like Halloween type thing or something, just kind of throw that back out there since it's that type of season right now. But we're just going to see when we can schedule that up. I think it'll probably be on a weekend, probably maybe this weekend, maybe Friday or Saturday. I don't know yet. But so that's kind of what's up with that and hunting and still dealing with the police stuff. And, kind of still fighting that daily aggravation. So, but you know what, I'm blessed. And you know what, if you don't have something to complain about, I think we would get bored. Is that fair? Like, seriously, have you noticed that? Like, it's like, if you get comfortable and you think, okay, man, everything's really going good, then it's kind of like, like the old saying, you don't ever talk about religion or politics. Yeah, but what do you talk about? I mean, like, you kind of lose it. Like, I mean, I could talk about hunting and fishing or lifting weights or punching chili in the face. But, other than stuff like that, like, what do you really talk about? Right? You got religion, you got politics, you got punching chili in the face. And I would say that's probably the top 3 overall internationally topics. And if it's not, then it should be. So, but what's this deal with chili going up to, I just seen where Unclean Hands shared that video earlier, and I kind of got a laugh out of it because I haven't watched, I always said this. I never did watch Chili's videos. I never did really he kind of gets on my nerves. His voice kind of like, kind of drives me crazy. So I never did really watch his videos, but I would watch them when members in our community would share them and basically do breakdown type stuff on them. And I picked up one from Unclean Hands just recently, or I think he posted that today, I believe, where Chili went up to Pennsylvania. Somebody in the chat filming, was that recently? Was that a new video or was it something I just seen? Because I'm not sure if that was something that I just picked up and I just seen it recently and maybe it's an older video. But what I find interesting is Chili had to come right through this area to go to Pennsylvania. I mean, he's going to beat me up all the time. I mean, it's almost like he skipped by Ohio. Oh, he flew. Okay. Yeah. He's like, I'll just take the air route here to stay off the ground. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. Look who joined me. Terry, how are you?
What do you say, sir? I don't know if this is going to work too well. I'm in the car moving down the road. So.
Terry, I want to check your mic.
Can you hear me?
Terry, you're cutting in and out. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
I can tell you are. It sounds like you're mobile right now, buddy.
I am absolutely mobile. I'm moving down the road right now.
I can tell. I can tell by the sound of the background there. And I appreciate you joining us. I just told everybody that you were kind of dealing with some stuff and you may not be able to hop on, but I'm glad you did, even if it's just momentarily.
Well, you know me, I always like to be here. I'm such an important guy. I like to flash myself before the masses.
I appreciate you being here, and I'd absolutely agree. Yeah, I was just telling them that Chili, I guess, made an appearance in Pennsylvania.
I had heard about that.
I guess he was just too busy to make it to Ohio to make right or to beat the wheels of justice.
Too bad we didn't catch him on his drive-through, huh?
I was just instructed by the chat that he actually flew here.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, yeah, I guess he decided that was probably the better route, as to try to drive through Ohio.
He's probably right.
I mean, it's I mean, you kind of dig those holes when you act like that. So, but what I got a kick out of is that's what I was going to tell everybody is, just from, being out of it for a little while and then kind of hopping back in and catching that video, his demeanor is totally different. It's like he does not even have the same attitude that he had a year ago.
Well, he can't keep that shit up forever. Sooner or later, it's got to come to an end, don't it?
Well, I mean, you would think, but I mean, then again, he's full of surprises. So.
Well, I would have thought it would have fell apart before now. I can't believe he's still going, to be honest.
Oh, he's a white knight now, Abby says. Abby says he's somewhere in the Midwest being a white knight, which, I mean, let's face it, that's just typical. He is a white knight. Yeah, I was thinking that too. Terry, you're breaking up really bad, buddy. I was thinking that too. That guy with the accent, I'm assuming, I don't know if he's Russian or what, but I'm thinking, oh yeah, he probably would have folded chili with his clothes on. I don't think that would have been really, really good for Chili. He looked like a pretty big dude. But and then it was just funny though, like the way that Chili, like even his demeanor overall, like, I mean, the way that he talks to people and the way that he interacts with law enforcement and stuff, he's totally changed from that complete, smart aleck wanting to be confrontational with everybody to now like almost apologetic, like I'm trying to help. No, you're not. And am I seeing this right, guys? Correct me if I'm wrong. Does his channel say that he has like 400,000 or 300 some thousand subscribers now? That can't be right. I mean, I have to be reading that wrong, right? Because
sounds to me like we need a different channel topic, Educator. We need to go out and be assholes and people subscribe by the thousands.
Hey, Burns, what's up, man? Yeah, I guess maybe I'll just start being mean to everybody. And hopefully if I'm just mean to everybody, that everybody will want to subscribe to my channel. I'll go be an asshole to everybody, and then you guys will love me too. Poor me. I'm assuming that, well, I don't know. I know there's a lot of people that say that he buys subscribers or whatever. I don't even know how that crap works. I don't know. I don't really care. But, it's kind of one of those things to me that it seems odd that his channel grows that quickly. 366 days of training in a row. Look at this. That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about right there. I am the other way around. I have not trained at all for a while. So I'm going to share something with you guys that I've been dealing with. And this come out of nowhere. And I know that this may sound kind of weird, but I am having some issues in my eye, and I don't know what is up with me. I basically I've always had like 20/20, 20/15 vision, like excellent vision. And one day I just wake up and like my right eye is just, it's like blurred. And the best way I can describe it is like, have you ever watched like a 3D movie without the glasses on and like the way the screen looks? That's almost like what my right eye has been doing. And I've been through test after test after test. And it's like, I can't really figure out what's going on. The doctors are kind of scratching their heads. So I'm not going to lie. I've kind of sat around feeling sorry for myself because, I'm getting old and my body's beat up. My knees beat up. My elbows beat up, my eye. So I'm kind of sitting around doing woe is me. And I haven't been in the gym training like I should. So that's on me. That's my fault. But I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that. So
So are you telling me you've traded some knee pressure for some eye pressure now? Is that what's happening?
yeah, it's and you know what's funny is oddly enough, my doctor does think this might be related to my blood pressure. That's a true story. He really did say that. I've never had high blood pressure at all. I've never had high blood pressure. And then all of a sudden, like my blood pressure was running like really high all about the same time. So I'm thinking, what in the heck have I done? So I guess it's because I'm old and fat. And I've just kind of accepted that.
One too many bacon sandwiches, sir.
I think it's probably the lack of gym time and the increase of couch time. How's that? So and that's tend to be a bad thing for me. So, but I'm going to fix it. I promise. You'll see. And I'm going to start documenting my stuff and get back to my educator videos more than like I used to too. So, it's just a matter of getting everything in a row, guys. And I've been trying. So, I'm excited, man. It feels good to have everybody here again. I see there's like 20 some in the chat right now. And honestly, I didn't expect that because I figured everybody forgot about me and who I am. So, and being this kind of thrown together type thing. So, hey, Art, how are you?
Hey, Art, how are you? So, sir, it's all right. I don't forget who you are. I keep reminding you, sir. It's all right.
Terry's like, listen, I'm going to tell you guys about this guy. He's kind of slow. Okay. And he's not all there. But, yeah. So, hey.
Well, I don't know. Ask him. He can hear you. You ask him.
Hey, Chad, this is Della.
Hey, Della, how are you, dear?
I'm doing good. It sounds like you're trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
Did they say anything about maybe like checking you for diabetes or anything?
You're breaking up. I can't really hear you.
She was wondering if they had checked your sugar levels, sir.
My blood sugar's fine. It usually runs a little over 100. Yeah, that's never been an issue for me. So I don't know. I'm hoping it's something that I won't really have to deal with, and it'll just we'll figure out what's going on, and I'll be able to get back to where I can see the way I'm supposed to be able to see, because it's driving me crazy, and I'm driving my wife crazy because I complain about it all the time, like literally all the time. And I'm pretty sure that she gets sick of hearing me say, I can't see. So, and for the record, if I do miss a deer this year, well, that's the reason. It's not because of me. So, Art says I gotta highlight that one because that drew my attention. The dickless gnome snuck through Ohio. Well, you know what? We were just talking about that, Art. I don't know if you were on then, but I said that was kind of odd that he was in Pennsylvania, but then all of a sudden he's in Pennsylvania, but he doesn't come by here. And if he's such a righteous judicial warrior, you would think that he would come by here and just fix all of his little mishap issues with the courts, right? That's not going to happen, though, is it? Because the reality is he knows what he done was wrong. He knows he's a moron. And he knows he doesn't have a leg to stand on. So he's not going to come to court. He's not ever going to do that. He's going to run from every little warrant that he gets. I think I got Terry back.
Sorry about that. You keep popping in and out.
I think I hear you a little better now, maybe.
Well, I'm trying. I'm getting closer to civilization again, so hopefully it'll clear up here in a minute. It's what happens when you live the hard and fast life like Ironton Auditor. You've always got somewhere else to be.
Oh, man, I understand. Oh, well, you know what? It's the good thing about it is if you stay busy like that, you never get bored.
No, but you can definitely get sick and tired of being sick and tired. I can tell you about that one.
I believe that. I definitely believe that. So we'll have to see how it goes for me. But hopefully, if I've got my schedule straightened out enough to where we can be back on here a little more. Hopefully, Terry. That's what I was just telling them before you came on. So that's my goal anyway.
Well, that'd be great, actually. Since you guys are so corrupt in Ironton that you're hiding all of your corruption now, and I can't find any, it'd be nice to have another channel to hang out on.
Well, Darkwatch says to keep you out of civilization. And I'm going to go ahead and second that for the record, Terry. But yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, Terry, is you have to realize that part of being corrupt is being good at it and hiding it from you.
Well, evidently, there's only like 2 people in Ironton 1 and Coal Grove, those very special ladies who are able to pick out all the corruption. Apparently, I'm just too stupid to find it.
Yeah, but you know what? Weren't you supposed to get beat up recently? Why didn't you get...
Well, I tell you what, it's not the first time that someone has threatened me. However, it probably would be the first time somebody actually tried to make good on their threats. There's a lot of people with big mouths, but not very brave people.
No, you don't mean that.
Hell, man, the last time I was out, some idiots at a local car wash was wanting me to come and start a fight with a woman and called me a coward because I wouldn't do it.
Oh my gosh, man. Oh my gosh. Absolutely crazy. It never fails, man. The way people respond and the way people act, it's like in some of the videos that I watch, like, because I still do check in with some of the channels and stuff, and I try to get on as much as I can and just kind of creep through stuff or whatever. And some of the stuff that I've seen and some of the stuff that you've been drug into all of a sudden, how'd that come about, bub?
I don't know. Apparently, there's a couple people out there that were like starving for content, starving for YouTube notoriety. So what they did was try to challenge my integrity, which evidently didn't work out too well for them. And now that I've been silent for a couple weeks, it's amazing. They ain't had nothing to talk about.
Well, you're gonna have to step it up and do something stupid for them, Terry. Hurry up.
Shit. You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it.
You gotta give them some content. Hey, Burns, we'll see you, buddy. It's good to see you, and hopefully we'll be back live soon, and we'll catch you again here. Yeah, I don't know what all that was about, but and I'm sure maybe on a different time when you have a little better audio, we can get you come on here and explain a little bit more about what kind of feud type thing kind of popped up there, because I swear I feel like I step away for a couple months and I like peek back in. And it's like, oh my God, like everything's changed and like now there's different feuds and stuff. Like I don't know how all that happens, but it certainly does appear that way.
Well, I'll tell you what, it seems like YouTube's turned into a trailer park, sir. There's always somebody in the trailer behind you with a bigger mouth than you. It's just the way it works.
Hell. Well, you never know. I mean, there's always going to be somebody with a bigger drama appetite. Oh gosh. Let's see what we got here. Oh, Darkwatch says if there's trouble, you're going to stumble into it.
I guarantee it. That's how it works. It's kind of like walking through a yard full of dog crap. My feet are like magnets to dog turds. Sometimes it's the same way with trucks. It explains me.
I understand. I kind of have that same problem. fix a little bit of this noise here. Well, I guess that probably is the only way to do it, is for you to mute when you're not talking, I'm guessing. Flat and globe are still going, huh? It's something I never really got into. I never did really get into the flat earthers versus globe thing. To me, it's like I've never really questioned the fact that we live on a globe. That's just my opinion. I'm not a scientist and I'm not an expert on it, and I don't pretend to be. I've heard people make arguments on both sides. Personally, just my overall personal opinion is I don't know what the purpose of a lie about that would be. I don't know how it would economically change anything for somebody to say that the earth is flat or a globe. And I don't really see any other kind of agenda for it. It seems like, when you think about the fact of, and once again, I'm probably going to show my ignorance here because I'm not the guy to talk about this, but when you think about how and it was it Alaska where you get like 6 months of daylight and 6 months of darkness, that kind of seems like it would kind of probably favor the model of a globe to me. And it seems like there's a lot of reasons why that it kind of makes more sense, right? So, yeah, Raven. I'm not, honestly. When Sovereign, I know he's a big flat earther, and he's on my show a lot back in the day and stuff, and and that was what I always tried to preach before, is just because somebody comes on and hangs out doesn't mean that I agree with what they say, but just because I don't agree with what they say doesn't mean I don't like the person. I can disagree with somebody and still think they're a good dude. So I don't have to agree or disagree just to let somebody speak and let them kind of have their opinion. I think that's probably kind of important. And we deal with that a lot when it comes to anything, really. When you think about it, there's going to be every single day you're going to run into people that you have the opportunity to say, you know what, I think you're an idiot. I disagree with you. Or you can literally just say, okay, well, I don't agree with you, but you know what? I respect the fact that that's your opinion. There's some people that don't like that argument because they want the confrontation. Guys like Chili or some of the frauditor type guys, they like that. They like that they want to be able to say, oh yeah, but this and this. And it's like, you can put a spin on anything. You can put a spin on anything you want to. And the truth of it is, it doesn't mean perception is not reality. How's that? Perception is not reality. Perception is your own perception. Reality is still based on fact. So until we know absolute fact, there's no way to make an absolute argument. And the problem that I have with science is the practice of science in general is discovery. It's continually growing. It's continually changing. So at any given time, let's face it, it wasn't 50 years ago that we were practicing some scientific things. There's even some medical things that we find absolutely asinine to this day because things change. So who knows what the future holds? Maybe one day we realize, oh my gosh, we were wrong. The alien thing or whatever. I personally think, and you guys know, I've always been really open about the fact about my faith. I'm a strong believer in God. I personally think, I've heard the argument said before that, oh, well, if you're a Christian or if you're strong in your faith in God, you can't believe in aliens. And why is that? Well, because the Bible says this. Well, absolutely. But to think that we are alone in this universe as vast as it is almost it's almost arrogant, really. If you really think about it, as vast as the universe is, to think that the possibility of other life forms is not there. Come on now. And just because our Bible was written for us on this planet doesn't mean that there's not God's instruction to someone else somewhere else. And I've heard arguments from some pretty intelligent guys. Some of the guys over at the Daily Wire, which I enjoy listening to, Matt Walsh and some of those guys. And I've listened to some of their arguments for it. And it's kind of reversed from my thought, where, they're almost like, well, it doesn't mean that there's not, because you're a Christian. well, no, I mean, it doesn't mean that you're not, or that you do. I don't think it really implies either way. Just the fact that there might be other life forms doesn't necessarily mean that there's a God or not a God. I'm certain there's a God because I've lived it and I have my own testimonies to say so. But that's not for me to debate with just the average person that's not intrigued about it. So my belief is that I believe that the God of the Bible is 100% real, and I believe that he created everything. And I personally believe that there's a very good possibility that he created stuff that he doesn't really mention to us in the Bible because it's irrelevant to us, because it doesn't affect us. He gave us an instruction manual for us here on this planet. That's just my opinion. And I don't know if I'm alone in that opinion or not. I don't know. But once again, if you're closed-minded and you don't have an open debate or open discussion about things, you're never going to have any kind of satisfaction. Oh my gosh. Guys, please all stand up and applaud. Flat Derp in the house right now. Once again, we've drawn a celebrity here at the Leducation Station. Terry. Flat Derp making an appearance again.
Hello to Flat Derp, and did you notice that Flat Derp and Dick Back Patrol kind of ganged up there for a little bit? That was a nice little meetup. I like that.
You know what? The Dick Bag Patrol thing, when I kind of saw that and I started watching his stuff, I was like, wow, that is a creative dude. Like, I love his content. And then I swear it was like the same day that I'm scrolling through and I'm seeing the whole, whatever the subscriptions, that I'm subscribed to. And about that time, a video pops up, or I think Flat Dirt maybe put something in his community page or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to do some kind of collab type thing together. I think that's so cool. So, because they're two really, really interesting creators. So that's awesome, man. Flat Derp, welcome. Hope everything's going good your way. This is kind of just an impromptu type thing. I didn't even really have any subject matter other than just get on here and just kind of BS with everybody a little bit and just say hi. I've really kind of fallen off the earth there for a while. The flat earth sovereign. You'll see this later. You're going to see this later and you're going to be like, oh, he said it. No. But because I have kind of disappeared for a little while, I wanted to kind of get back on here and say hi to everybody and tell everybody that we are working on things and I'm going to get stuff back going again, more content. Right now, I've been doing a lot of the outdoor stuff because I'm kind of doing the other channel. And because of that, I'm doing a lot of hunting type videos and stuff. And it's interesting. It's fun, but it doesn't really fit the content that I really want to put on here much. So I'm working both ways, right? As long as I can get my hunting videos in there and stuff, because that's one of my passions and my loves, the outdoors type stuff. You guys know this, hunting, shooting, fishing, that type of stuff, right? So, I'll get my Leducator videos back up too. And I'm going to get my big fat butt in the gym again too, because I need to, because I'm lazy and because I don't want to be, and I don't want to fall apart. And I'm getting old. So because of that, I have to get going. So, somebody needs mental help. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know who that is. It's a new one to me. Sorry, guys. My other channel is just Leducator Outdoors. It's the only thing I really kind of post on there is like hunting and fishing type stuff, shooting type stuff, whatever. Oh yeah, Uncle Artie's gonna be live, huh? I don't know if I'll be able to make it. I have to work tonight. So that's kind of why I've done it. This afternoon, kind of hopped on here for a little while. So I don't know if I'll actually be able to be on there, but I'm sure I'll stop in the chat and at least talk to everybody for a bit. So it's amazing how stupid. So yeah. Oh, I haven't seen Flat Derp's video today. Someone has to go check that out. So I'm gonna have to find out who this guy is that you guys are talking about, because I don't know. I'm going to have to get back in touch with everything. So I have seen some guys, like I've noticed some of like the frauditor type guys. There's some new ones pop up that I didn't know. And I was, I was quick to tell you guys before, that's something that I've never really like got into that. So I never really did like search these guys out. But, when the whole Chili fight thing was going to happen, it kind of become more of a subject of interest, I guess. So, but I noticed that there is a couple new guys that I didn't know, and I didn't catch their names because I don't really care. But there's some of them, man. I swear that they make Chili look like almost sane. Like some of these dudes are out there, man. Like for real. Like what are you hoping to achieve? You're completely just being an idiot. Like you're not even being beneficial to your cause. Like, here's my thing, and this is the way that I argue. And I always argue this before, but if you really are trying to be kind of like the patriot, the First Amendment type guy, what are you really achieving by going around picking fights with somebody in order to upset the people in which rights that you're trying to protect, so to speak? Like it doesn't really make sense to me. And it's like you're just going around just aggravating people, because you can film people in public. Yes, but your First Amendment is really designed to be able to speak out to government, not just to be able to walk down the street and just aggravate the shit out of everybody that walks by. Like that's, I don't know. I think it's crazy, but I know Cripple Cat. I don't mean he's sane. I take that back. I just mean he looks less goofy than he normally does. How's that? And that's saying it very lightly, right? Did you see the meltdown Chili had while standing on this? I did not. Chili had a meltdown. Boy, that's a shocker. Guys, you can't. Come on now. Y'all not going to convince me of that. Chili having a meltdown? Let me guess. Did he act irrational too? Did he act irrational? Did he act irrational and confrontational with somebody until somebody that wasn't intimidated by his nonsense stepped up and then he backed down and acted like a coward? Once again,
there's no way that can be the true story now, right?
No. Not with Chili. He's a patriot. He's a white knight in shining armor. Yeah. He's the real deal, guys. He is. He's a constitutional law scholar. He's the governor of Ohio. What else has he achieved? I mean, his achievements are as long as my arm.
Well, he's also wanting to be the governor of 5 other states, as far as I know.
Well, you know what? Maybe he can be the first ever in history to pull that off. Because let's face it, he's worth it.
Can you imagine Jose Maria de Castro for president? It's coming to a ballot near you.
He actually puts in his he really emphasizes on like the almost like the Hispanic type pronunciation of Maria too. Like he wants to make sure he tries to mask that a little bit. It's like, look, dude, don't church it up. Your middle name's Maria, okay? Seriously.
Well, it's not my fault. When you're a guy with the middle name Maria, the least you can do is roll the R, so it sounds a little bit more masculine,
Well, if there's anything masculine out there about Chili, I've never seen it. He can take Biden out in MMA fight. If he can take Biden out in MMA fight, he gets a vote. You know what? If we could arrange that to where Chili would fight Biden, that might be the match of the century. There might be about 4 IQ points between the two of them. Oh my gosh. Craziness. Yeah, I know. Chili does not have meltdowns. Let me tell you this. Chili has melt ups. He's the first person in history that actually can pull off a melt up. He's that special. Ran from a warrant. Chili is running, was arrested for the 3rd time in 8 days. Is very, very verbal. No. Glober mom, you can't mean that. They probably just took him wrong. He was probably trying to give them good legal advice and counseling. Oh, I mean, not counseling because that would be illegal because he's not a lawyer. But he was probably just trying to help these people out, and they took it wrong. They should be blessed. They should feel like when Chile bestows upon them wisdom. See, you guys don't understand because you're like this. Okay. You guys are like this. Chile is, I can't even put my hand on the screen. It's so far up above all of our mortal minds. You're not going to understand. Okay. And there's a few of them like that. So let's see who else we got here. Dummy Kruger has a video. He was arrested for the third time in 8 days. Oh yeah, shocker. That's how they generally act. And I've never really touched base on this before specifically, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now since I'm kind of coming back out of the woodwork. Yes, Glock 43 is a wonderful weapon. It's small, and I'll tell you that if you're shooting, if you're recoil sensitive, I don't recommend the micro guns. I never have. I think the micro guns are meant for people who are more experienced shooters. Those little micro guns are hard to hold, even with just standard pressure 9mm. They'll jump a little bit. So, yeah, the officers are traitors. Yeah, he doesn't even understand what that means. He's so dumb. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you what my overall interpretation is. Because I've had a lot of time to kind of think about this, and there was a little bit of because I mean I entertain the friendship, or at least the company of several different people from several different kind of beliefs or I won't say beliefs because I'm sure they probably there's some things that they cross over, but nevertheless, James Freeman and Josh and those guys, I've had those guys on my show or whatever before, but let me tell you how I really feel about freedom as far as it applies to the United States. I believe in freedom being the God-given freedom that we're kind of as a biblical term. But a lot of people use that and they forget to say things like they have to understand that even in the Bible it says to obey the law of the land. And I think in order to guarantee a freedom, broad freedom to everybody, to guarantee that everybody of every social status, every physical abilities, mental abilities, everything, you have to have kind of an overall overlapping type law to be able to guarantee freedoms as best you can. Because ultimately, if you don't, then people can be taken advantage of. Because honestly, pure freedom in its purest form is anarchy, and anarchy is very violent and it's very scary because it's only strong survive. And we know that that's not something that we want to have to deal with. If you have only the strong survive, then you're just basically having like an old type, almost when the Roman Empire was conquering everybody, you just go by and take everything and be done, right? So we don't want that. So we have to have laws. And then I think what happens is, as our lawmakers, and once again, I'm not an expert, I'm not an attorney by any means, but I think what kind of happens is our lawmakers with the best intentions, they kind of broaden the laws in order to be able to cover more things, because when attorneys get involved, it gets clouded. I don't care what your belief is on that. It just does. And that's why you have to have interpretation of everything when it comes to law. And that's why a lot of law is written in that old English type stuff that, it's so weird because they'll be like 3 or 4 phrases to be able to break up a definition. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, so this means this because this, or this means this because this, or whatever. And because of that, as it grows, you find that some of the law becomes like, why do we have to have a law for that? Or why do we have to have a law for that? And then the problem is, as more people interpret it, it gets watered down, it gets changed, it gets kind of a different overall feeling about it, by the time it actually comes out. And I think we run into that a lot, but I don't know that there's a better system for it. I'm not saying that our system is great or perfect. I'm just not so sure that if there's a better one. The only thing I could say or recommend to say is, as it was written in the beginning from our founding fathers, was, our Constitution was written for a virtuous peoples, for a people that have a moral fiber, that's generally speaking, or the way it was actually written was for godly people. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that nowadays, but that's what it was written for. There has to be something to make you feel as you're accountable, not just your own ideals. So if that's the case, then you have to realize that if you're in a position to where you can say, okay, we know we need moral fiber to be able to abide by law. Well, the problem is a lot of this country lacks that now. So we kind of suffer because we don't have that holding to the higher expectation, right? And once again, I'm going to probably make some people mad, but I really don't care because you don't have to follow my channel if you don't want to, but it doesn't change my views. And the reality is I believe that we are one nation under God. And I believe that without being a one nation under God, we are never going to be accountable to be able to be a virtuous peoples, to be able to follow the freedoms that we are given. That's my opinion, period. I really believe that without God, you in your own self are literally going to be selfish and say, this is the way it should be. I should be free. Okay, but when your freedom interferes with the freedom of somebody else, then it's not just your freedom anymore, it's somebody else's. And because we lack virtue, and yes, morality is subjective. I agree with that. I agree with morality being subjective. The problem is there's no standard to morality without the presence of God, because that's where we get our standard for morality. So it's the idea of what's right and wrong. Well, what's right and wrong for me may be different for what's right and wrong for you. So we have to have some kind of basis to say where it comes from, right? That's the idea. And that's what our founding fathers kind of believed in the beginning when all this started. And I think we've kind of gotten away from that. That's just my opinion. And I think that when we have guys like Terry, no, I'm kidding. if we have guys like Chili that go around and they play off that. They just want to they want to argue instead of really looking for the root of it, because it has gotten so clouded, because we have taken the morality out of it, the virtue out of it, and it has gotten so clouded that we try to compare my opinion versus your opinion, which one's right. Well, without a legal opinion, we don't know. And if you're basing a legal opinion without morality, without virtue, then it's subject to change. We've seen the Supreme Court change rulings all the time. So I heard somebody mention going down a rabbit hole earlier about the flat earth thing, but honestly, it's just as big of a rabbit hole when you start talking about constitutional freedoms and stuff, because I can make arguments for both sides about absolute freedoms. I can make arguments specifically about the rule of law, and you really can't have both, and I've used James as an example. James is kind of one of those absolute freedoms type guys. He's an anarchist. He's one of those type guys that really believes that it's just me, my four, no more. I live. I'm don't bother you. You don't bother me. And that's perfectly fine, except for, and James and I could get into this debate, I'm sure, if we chose to, but no, that the Constitution was not written to keep religion out of it. That was a letter written from Thomas Jefferson later on that said that the federal government should not be involved in churches because the churches was already established at a state level. And I can show you some text on that, but I'm not going to today because that's not my interest. But that the religion is not specifically, it's not. If you actually read how many texts from our founding fathers actually mentioned virtue and the church specifically, because without them, then there's no way of determining right from wrong, because once again, morality is subjective, and that's what we deal with. It's a matter of what do I think's right, or what does Terry think's right, without somebody to say, okay, well, you think this is right and you think this is right. Who's going to be oh my God, another celebrity, Terry.
Oh my goodness, it's Chili's blow up doll.
Chili's girlfriend. But anyway, so when we get guys like Chili and he wants to play both sides. He wants to say rule of law, or he starts saying things. Oh, I'm all about rule of law. No, you're not. Because if you were, you wouldn't be arguing with the law that is state law. You may not agree with the state law, but it was still the people that were elected by the people that made that law. So whether you agree with it, you're just arguing it. It's already established. I don't agree with it. You know what? I don't like a lot of it. I don't like a lot of stuff that I'm actually a peace officer in the state of Ohio, and there's a lot of laws that I'm going, that's stupid. It's stupid. But you know what? I'm not the one they elected to write them. Believe it or not, Terry, they didn't ask me my opinion. Now, they probably meant to.
You know what? They never have asked mine either. Hopefully you guys can hear me better now. I'm sitting stationary. Hopefully I'm coming through a little better. But I think that regardless of what people feel about freedom or about the system, whether it be the legal system, the judicial system, or whatever, if people don't start acting with a little bit of morality and a little bit of responsibility, then in my opinion, they should stay at home and be chained to a wall and not be allowed to leave the fucking house. That's all it takes. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about your color, your creed, where you're from. None of that stuff matters to me. Just act like a moral, responsible person, and I think you'll get along fine in the world.
And yes, ZXL Master, that's exactly what I was trying to say. I'm sorry. I probably I misquoted that, but that's what our founding fathers were trying to say originally, was the fact that they didn't want a national church. They didn't want a church that just, they literally said, this is your church as America. This is what we believe. No, what they were saying is there's already churches set up at a state or colony type level. You know, we don't need to do it as a federal level. We need to remove that. You have to remove that. That doesn't need to be a part. They're not saying that you can't refer to it or that they don't want you to believe in that. They're just simply saying, we're not going to do it as a national level. Let states do that, which is a lot of times what should happen on a lot of the laws that our Supreme Court and kind of infringes on, in my opinion, because they kind of make a lot of rulings that I don't think they really have any business to be dealing with. And there's a lot.
Fight a war a few years back over states' rights. Wasn't there a big national war that was fought over that? Seems like I remember reading something about it in history.
Yeah, it seems like there was. But you know what else? You know what else is funny is even more recently, we've teetered on Convention of the States several times.
Sure.
You know, and that's I don't know that I don't know that we've ever actually done it. Actually went through with the whole thing, but I know it's actually written in there as a clause that basically says they can. And you know, if that ever happens, that just shows what a lack of faith the people have in our federal government. And that's not what I'm on here for today, guys. I'm going down a rabbit hole again. Somebody's warned me about that, and I just stuck my foot in my mouth. But the gist of it is this: if you can't honor yourself, your neighbor, treat other people the way you want to be treated, then you're not going to understand the value of the law. Or let me rephrase that. You're not going to understand the value of our constitutional ideology or the theory behind of our little experiment, right? And then what they've had to do is they've had to, throughout the years, be real specific and write all these individual laws at a state level or whatever. Yes. Thank you. ZXL, we have freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. Absolutely. Well, and the reality is, in my opinion, and I'll tell you this, I don't like religion. I think religion sucks. I think religion is a man-made attempt to reach God. And the reality is, and once again, I'm going to make some people mad. And YouTube's probably not going to like this because I'm going to say Jesus. But I don't really care because I love Jesus and that's just that. So, but Jesus was God's attempt to reach man. We don't need religion. It's already done. He reached back out to us. He wanted to love on us. So he literally already done it. That's a done deal. The Bible says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word of God was with God, and the Word of God was God. And we witnessed the Word of God wrapped in flesh and dwelt among us. He literally wrapped himself in flesh and dwelt among us because he didn't want religion. He wants relationship. He wants people to hang out with him. And that's what we need to do. And if we did that, we wouldn't need to be sitting there bickering and fighting with people all the time about stupid laws, about the fact that, oh, is it legal to punch somebody in the face? Yeah, it is. You know why? Because you should know better. Because if you did have some type of virtue about you, if you did understand morality, then you would know not to do that. Right? I agree. Religion has caused so many wars and deaths. Absolutely. Religion has.
I would dare to say that there have probably been more lives taken in the name that people like to use it as a first and last name, Jesus Christ. You know, it's kind of become that modern English. There have been more killed in that name than there actually have been saved by it. I think we'll be surprised to see the final numbers, just at a guess.
Well, and you know what's funny is because I truly believe that it breaks his heart when people act like that over him, because that was never his message. That was never his message.
Right. I guarantee it, man.
You know what really drives me crazy is when I think about it and I read scripture and I realize that Jesus was that guy that literally he was so, man, if he was here today, he would be like, he's the coolest dude ever. He's laid back. He's like, man, come on, I'll go over and eat with you. Because he wanted to kill that stereotype of, oh, I'm holy, because he's sitting there thinking, man, I just want to love on you people, man. I just love you guys. I made you guys to hang out with you. That's all I want to do. Right. And now we're sitting there, we got to make it some type of, oh, well, if you're not a member of my church, or if you don't do this or whatever, come on, man. God ain't in that. Get out and pat somebody on the back.
I have a question for you, Legicator. I'm curious because I have a theory. It seems to be supported by biblical proof, but I have a theory and a question for you. It is my personal belief that when you stand before him, there's going to be one question and one question only that is going to be asked. I don't think it's going to have anything to do with whatever supposed rules you broke, whether you cussed or drank or had sex before marriage or during marriage, all that stuff. I think that there's going to be one question to ask, and I believe that it is going to go something like this. How did you love? Show me your fruit. Show me how you loved. And if you don't have any fruit of love, guess what? You're like that fig tree that gets cursed because you look like you had fruit, but you didn't.
Yeah. You know what? I say this all the time, and I've actually made this kind of discussion before. I believe that Jesus literally wants us to love on each other the way that he showed us how to love. And that's hard, man. That's hard. Oh, that's hard.
He actually said, didn't he say love one another as I have loved?
He did. And the Bible also says that we love because he first loved us. Basically, he was our example to love. He showed us what love was. So it allowed us to be able to understand. And I use this as actually a discussion. Sometimes when people want to talk about, hey, Tina, how are you, dear? Ezekiel 37. You know what? I probably have ZXL, but I'm so terrible at remembering scripture and stuff. But I use this as an example sometimes for creation, because I'll have people that believe, scientific, explanation of the way that we became. And I'm sorry, but if you think I'm crazy because I believe that there's a creator that's outside the program. See, here's the thing. And I use this, and I'm going to share this with you guys. And I just feel like I really need to share this. I want you guys to think about this. The guy that engineers a computer, the guy that creates the computer, he literally builds the software, whatever. I'm not a computer guy, so I'm probably going to use wrong lingo. But the guy that actually creates this device is not inside that device. He's not inside of it. His works are inside that. The evidence of him is inside that, but he's outside of it, separate to create it. Okay. So we know science as time, space, and matter, correct? That's what we define. Basically everything in a scientific world is based on time, space, and matter. It has to happen at a certain time. It has to happen at a certain place, and it has to be made up of certain matter. God is not limited to that. He's not limited by time. He is the beginning and the end. The Bible says that. I'm the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. He is not limited by time. He's not limited by space because he's omnipresent. He's everywhere, every time, every way. And he's not made up of matter because the Bible says that God is spirit, right? So he's outside of all of what we know as science, right? But here's my argument to people. He's not inside the program. His evidence of him is inside the program. And the only things that I can think of, the prime example to say that my perfect support of the belief of the God of the Bible is that four little word called love. Terry, do you deny at all right now that there's such a thing called love? Do you know love exists? I'm sure you love Miss Della. You've got family members.
Well, absolutely. I only want to clarify the idea of what people think love is. Unfortunately, I think too many people think that love is an emotion. They base it on what they feel, kind of like they do their walk with Father himself. However, love is not how you feel. Love is what you do. Love is an action word. And if you love, you will act, and you will always act for the good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get on my soapbox.
No. I'm glad you did, because I'll tell you this. I'll even go a step further and say love is not something you feel. Love is something you live. Love is something you choose. But we know it exists. I don't deny it. I love my wife. I love my children. I love my family. And there's no denying it because, how many of us, put a 1 in the chat if you've ever had your heart broke. I want to see it. Put a 1 in the chat if you ever had your heart broken. Don't lie. Jesus is watching you. Don't lie. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever had your heart broke. Because I can tell you this, if you ever had your heart broke, there's no denying it. You know how it feels. It hurts, right? We know it hurts. So we know that love exists, because if you didn't have that feeling, you wouldn't know what that feeling is, right? There's no scientific explanation for love. Oh, you can say, oh, it's a chemical reaction in the brain. No. That's the evidence of love, right? That's what we know happens when something happens. But what is the feeling that gets there that makes us feel that way? Well, I can tell you what it is. It's love. And the Bible says that God is love, and that we love because he first loved us. So the reason that we have love is not because nothing collided with nothing and created everything. Don't be foolish. If you really are honestly an evolutionist type person, and you really do believe that nothing collided with nothing and made everything, but you think I'm the crazy one because I think a computer programmer outside the computer made this. Love literally came from God. He literally said that's the greatest gift that he gave us. And it's not scientifically explained, right? So remember that. I promise you, 100%. You can't deny it. That's right, Laura. Spirit and truth. The Bible says he desires us to worship him in spirit and in truth, because he doesn't need us to be religious. He doesn't need us to walk around and wear a shirt and tie and say, bless you, brother. And oh, if you want to do that, that's your way of doing it. I don't really care. I really don't care. I don't care what kind of names on the front of your church and denomination and so on and so forth. If you believe that Jesus Christ is a son of the living God, and you accepted him as your Lord and Savior, then we're brothers and sisters in Christ, and you can wear what you want to wear. And I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I know YouTube probably ain't gonna like me for this, but you know what? I don't make no money off YouTube anyway. I barely make it as a policeman. You think I'm bad at this, guys? You think I'm bad at YouTube? I'm a terrible policeman. I literally can't even spell police. I have to use an app that corrects it. Right? So, but I want you guys to hear me when I say that. I mean that wholeheartedly. I want you to remember that the best thing that we can do to show support for each other. Remember when I used to tell you guys Hug a Troll Tuesday? And I said that as a joke because, I was giving these guys grief. But Hug a Troll Tuesday, because sometimes these guys literally are just getting on there just to start trouble. And the best way to do it is just ignore it and let it go. Right? Just let them run their mouth and hug them and give them a little bit right back, right? Love on each other. Be good to each other. Stay positive. Don't ever question anything other than you're never going to be sorry for doing the right thing. You've heard my videos before where I said, if you do the right thing for the right reasons, you will get the right results 100% of the time. Yes, sometimes it sucks. And sometimes you feel like you take a mental ass whooping over it, right? Sometimes you take sometimes you create your own obstacles, right? Because you're doing the right thing and it's tougher. But I can promise you 100% at the end, you will be much, much better off to do the right thing for the right reasons. I'm super, super, super excited about this coming back, guys. Police can't program here, there. Well, I'm not talking about police programming your computer. if you came in a little late there. But well, shoot, I can tell you. Well, I'll just talk about spell check too, because if I didn't have it, man, I'm telling you. And what's funny is I at work, I consider myself kind of like the grammar hammer, because I have to check off on the reports and stuff. And like, when I check off on them and I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna put up with that. You go back and fix that. That looks awful. And then I get to doing my own stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't spell. You guys ever do that? Like you start typing something out and like the simplest word ever, like something you learned in like first grade, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't remember how to spell the. I mean, I'm obviously just using that as an example, but you guys ever do that? Like, seriously, you guys ever been in that situation where you're going, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed because I can't literally tell somebody, how do you spell the? But you know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't realize I'm that dumb. But I do that all the time. Like I'll be like typing out a narrative or something, and I'm like, wow, I really, really suck at this. I forgot how to spell everything.
It's a good thing most electronics come with a spell check, huh?
Oh, it's been my right hand to keep me from hey, well, Snooze, what's going on? Man, we are just full of people in here today. We're getting a lot of the old faces, so to speak.
You
That's right,
haven't been
bro.
you haven't been around in so long. It's like putting a dinosaur on display. Everybody wants to come and see the bones.
I know. Y'all see all that gray hair right there? Y'all see that? Well, let me tell you, it ain't getting no easier. My wife has to put up with me, and I think she's. I will say I think that she sometimes has to like take a 5-minute break and just be like, oh my gosh, she's like another kid. But I don't really care. You know, she knew what she was doing when she married me. She should have known better.
Well,
it's not my fault. Oh, Terry, you're breaking up.
Sorry about that. I was saying if she didn't know then, she's damn sure well aware now, ain't she?
Oh, she's aware now. I think she honestly tried to look for the receipt to take me back. But it's not like Walmart. There ain't no easy returns, Terry. You can't do that. Yeah,
well,
she
well,
could
Della's only problem was I was going to say that Della's only problem was she waited past the 90-day return time, so she's screwed. She's got me now.
Yep, that's how my wife is. She's waited too long, and now she's got another dependent. She's just gonna have to tough it out. Not my fault. Hey, you know what? You knew what you were doing when you got into this. You knew that you were literally marrying a. I don't know why that's doing that, but that thing keeps muting on its own. I don't know why. Her husband was 60 for 2020. You're still raising him? Well, you know what? It's so funny because like little things like my wife will be like, why do you do that? And I'm like, I didn't do that. And she's like, yes, you did. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I really did do that. It's like, why do you lay your dirty clothes on the floor? Well, where else do you expect me to put them? She's like, put them in the laundry basket. I'm like, I never know if those are supposed to be clean clothes or dirty clothes because half the time we got a basket that literally comes out of the dryer. It's got clothes in it that are clean. And half the time it's literally dirty clothes. So what do you want me to do? I got a 50-50 chance. Just trust that the ones that are on the floor are dirty, babe.
Well, if you ever want to mess with her really hard, take your dirty clothes off, fold them up, put them back in the drawer. That'll mess with her.
Oh, you know what? She gets so aggravated with me too because there's sometimes like, I'm sorry, but if I wear a player, once again, guys, please be honest. The guys that are in the chat, tell me the truth right now. Put a 1 in the chat. If you literally will take a pair of blue jeans off and just fold them up, roll them up, whatever you do with them, and wear them again 2 or 3 times until you know they're dirty. Because
you got to wear them until they'll stand up in the corner by themselves, right? That's how you know it's time to wash.
I used to swear when I was like right out of high school and I was kind of doing some silly stuff and probably doing stuff I shouldn't have been, drinking, partying, doing silly stuff. And I remember literally smelling my blue jeans to see if they were okay. I was like, but I don't do that now. My wife wouldn't let me do that now, but she does. Like, she'll be like, why do you see? Rack says that. Yeah, everybody admits it. We all know you don't wash your blue jeans every time. And like, she'll be like, honey, how long has it been since you put those jeans in the dirty clothes? And be like, I don't know. I mean, it's been a while, but I don't get them dirty. And she's like, you can't do that, but so long. Right. But I'll even occasionally do it with like my uniform pants. Like if I have a really slow night or I'm in the office and I'm not doing much stuff and I'm thinking there's no sense in going through all that stuff. I mean, I'm just going to literally just fold them up. I'll put them back on tonight. Now, granted, my class A's, the blues, I won't do that because obviously that we're supposed to present ourselves professionally like that. But like our tactical uniforms and stuff, who cares? Who cares? You know what? I'm as long as I don't stink and I'm not disrespecting my profession or my uniform, I don't care. I'm married. I'm sure not trying to out impress anybody. So who cares? I'm clean, right? So, but I think that's the difference. And I know I see like Cripple Cat says the herself, but let's face it, Cripple Cat, you don't do it the way that we do. You guys are so much more clean and neat than we are. You know what's funny? I was just talking earlier about Matt Walsh and like the Daily Wire, and they do that. Like Matt Walsh done that documentary, "What Is a Woman?" Because of the transgender movement stuff, and it's like, and Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Dr. Jordan Peterson. He's a brilliant mind. He's a Canadian psychologist, PhD guy. Really, really genius guy. And at the very end of like this little documentary thing, he was like, he says, "I got a question for you," and he goes, "Let me guess, you're gonna ask me what is a woman?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Marry one and find out." And it's like, oh man, that's the ultimate answer right there, because you don't realize the differences between men and women until, like she is so neat and clean. And like, she's always, and I shared on my Facebook. Yes, I'm going to share this about my wife, guys, right now. Okay. Cause I get a kick out of this. So we went hunting yesterday morning. Terry, I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook or not, Terry, but you'll get a kick out of this. So we went hunting yesterday morning and I was exhausted. I'm not going to lie. And we come back and we take a nap. Right. And we were kid free. The kids were down there with her parents and stuff. And we were just kind of, chilling out a little bit, and we took a nap. When we woke up and I'm kind of like sitting on the couch and I'm watching the Bengals play or whatever. And she comes in there and she sits down beside of me and she kind of like leans over and I kiss her on the cheek. We just kind of woke back up after a nap. And at the time I literally said, "You smell good, babe." And I was just kind of flirting with my wife. Right. And then it hit me. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, "Honey, did you wear that perfume when you were in the deer blind this morning?" And she goes, "Ooh," and then starts laughing. I was like, "Are you serious?" I literally, Terry, I woke up at 4:30 yesterday morning to go wash myself in scent blocker body wash. Okay. To spray myself with Acorn's cover scent to get ready for my wife to basically put perfume on and go sit in the blind with me. Now, if you want to know what the difference is, and Matt Walsh, if you need to hear somebody say what's a woman, I can tell you, it ain't me, because the fact that she literally was still thinking about being beautiful and smelling good while she was out deer hunting and ruining any chances that we had of able to see a deer. That's a woman right there, right? So, yeah, there's a definite difference between men and women. I can promise you. Terry, I'm not sure which account you got there, buddy.
Well, what I did was I just managed to make it back to the house and switch off to the PC, and hopefully you can hear me fine. And it should be working really well now, I think. So
it is much, much better. And you are right. The scent blocker is perfume for men. I will admit that, especially the acorn smell. And actually, it really does smell good. I don't know if you guys have smelled that or not, but like the acorn smell actually really does. It's actually a really good smell.
If we could only get our women to fill their pockets full of attractant instead of wanting to spray perfume on their skin, it'd work out great, I think.
Well, I don't think Mrs. Legicator is quite up to that. I won't say that. She actually enjoys going out and doing the stuff like that, but I kind of catch her. Like we went out yesterday. It was relatively warm yesterday. It wasn't at all cold. And we go out and we get in the blind. And like I took, because I know her, and I took like an extra jacket and stuff like that, right? And we get out there and I look over at her, and I've got just like a long sleeve, camo shirt on or whatever. And I look over at her and she's got a base layer shirt, a hoodie, a camouflage hoodie. And she's got my jacket that she took, and she got in my backpack and got my winter, what do they call them? The neck things, neck gaiters, the big heavy ones. And she's got it pulled up over her, and she's got like a toboggan hat on. And I'm going, it's like 48 or 50 degrees. And she's sitting over going, and I'm like, "Honey," I was like, "Are you really that cold?" "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." So I'm like still digging stuff out of my bag and stuff. I was like, "That's my wifey right there. She's over there," but she would still rather be right with me. sitting in the ground blind, freezing her butt off, wearing every single stitch of clothes that we can find within the tri-state area. But it was a good time, and I enjoy her company. Anytime I have the opportunity to be near her, I want to. So even if she does put on perfume before she goes deer hunting, for the record, and I'm pretty sure that she did. So women want to smell deceptively. I don't know. Is that true? Women want to smell deceptively? I don't know. Maybe. I know that and back on what I was saying about that documentary with the what is a woman thing, I was intrigued by that because I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, we really are like really fighting with ourselves here on some basic biology. But the fact that Jordan Peterson, the doctor, the PhD, answers it with, instead of having some big scientific answer to what is a woman, he literally just says marry one and find out. I'm thinking, wow, that is the ultimate answer. That is the ultimate answer, because once you're married, you'll know what a woman is. Watching, I got to see what Jack says here. Watching old Bigfoot shows for kicks, I've learned a lot. Learn anyway they claim Bigfoot is attracted to female human. Really? Well, I can tell you right now, if I find a Bigfoot, I'm gonna be rich. And you seen those little memes that says I ain't gonna tell nobody, but there'll be signs. That'll be me. Speaking of which, did you guys seen that newest video? The Bigfoot video? Somewhere out west, like these people are on a train ride and they seen this figure walking to the hillside. I can't remember if there's a name for the video or where it was at or whatever, but that was like this. It was literally some type of creature, what they call it, bipedal type creature that was walking across the hillside, and it tucks down in the brush to try to hide, and it's like, wow, there's always those ones that's like, you know what? I don't think Bigfoot is real, but I can't help but be intrigued by it because it's like, what if, right? It was funny, just to think that Bigfoot was wearing sunglasses. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is that the one where like it looks like when you go up really close to it, it looks like there's something over their eyes or something. It's kind of neat though. I mean, it's like the alien thing. Like, I notice it seems like sometimes when Washington gets too backed up in a corner and they need something to bail them out or cause a distraction, something always pops up, whether it be aliens or some type of new vaccine or I don't know. There's always something, it seems like.
Always something to cover a track or two, isn't there? It seems like when they're going left, they have a bunch of reasons we're looking right.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? I mean, when we find out that we send like buku bucks to Iran, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, we didn't really know that happened, but oops, yeah, we did. Or
we arm a group of people for whatever little proxy war that we may have going on, and later they come out with a name like Al Qaeda or Taliban or something like that, and then we act like they're just a bunch of crazy people that got our weapons, and we don't know how.
You're not trying to tell me that ISIS was an American-made institution, are you?
I would never say such a thing. It's not exactly American-made, though I would say that the CIA and probably a few other agencies had huge hands in helping them get to where they're at.
Don't you know how many AR manufacturers there are in the Middle East?
How many AR manufacturers? I don't know, actually.
None, actually.
There's probably an AK manufacturer or two.
Yeah, that would be expected if I seen Chinese weapons or Russian weapons. But when you see M4s strapped across the chest of our enemies,
kind of makes you wonder how they got those, don't it?
Of course, it also is kind of troublesome that we left how much equipment in Afghanistan?
Well, we left enough for them to wage a small war, I think.
And we've also correct me if I'm wrong, we funded basically the majority of this Ukraine dispute, which I don't understand. Don't get me wrong, like I'm not a Putin fan, but I kind of have to sometimes wonder what are we involved to the level that we are. I mean, yeah, I get it, that we want to support democracy, but is that really what we're supporting? Because it seems like a lot of times we just want to support whoever's against our enemy.
I guess my biggest question is, why do we want to run through the world supporting democracy? It's not like it's done so fucking good here at home.
I mean, look at the results we're getting
Well,
with our so-called democracy.
yeah, well, so in theory, ours is supposed to be a constitutional republic and a democracy on the back end to show the way that we operate it.
Right.
But I think the problem that we really have is, once again, we lack the virtue like it was originally written, I think is one of the reasons. But what I really find troubling is the fact, and you know what, my dad said this years ago, and you tell me what you think about this now. I remember my dad saying when the first Gulf War happened in 1990, was it, Terry? Am I right? Time frame? 1990,
That's about right. Yeah, it was a couple years before I graduated. I graduated in 92.
My dad said, the way that he kind of painted this out was, he said, we had to have a war. I said, what? And of course, I'm a little kid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like, what's he talking about? He goes, we had to have a war. So what? He goes, well, because our military and our weapons had advanced so much since Vietnam, we hadn't had a chance to try them on anybody. And I said, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, Dad, that's not the way. And he's like, well, no. He said, you got to realize, he said, the Cold War, we built all these weapons up to be able to face the mighty Soviets and all this stuff. And we built up the most powerful military in the world. And he said, we had to go in there and test them all out and to show everybody that we're still got the biggest stick. And I was like, and it hit me later on, as I become an adult, I was like, oh my gosh. And if you really think about it on an economic front, it makes perfect sense because it makes us money.
We must be running a lot more tests, huh?
Isn't it crazy? It sure does seem.
I wonder if there was any quote unquote Ukrainian weapons or money that left from here to get to there that ended up in Hamas. I mean, I'm just curious. I don't know how to trace it down. I wonder if anybody else is looking. But it does make me curious.
We gave Iran $9 billion. I think they said 9 billion or something like that. And then Hamas openly says that that's where they got their support from, was Iran. So basically, if you really want to think about it, Hamas got its support from the United States.
You know what's funny is when Trump was president, he takes out a loan of what, 6.22 trillion. We send 9 billion to who? To Iran. How many billions have we sent to the Ukraine? How many billions have actually helped the American population? Maybe I shouldn't ask that question. It might not be prudent at this juncture.
Well, you know what? We've had a lot of, was it in Hawaii? We've had, that huge, issues right here in our homeland. And don't get me wrong, guys. I mean, I know I have, viewers from all around the world and stuff, and God bless you guys. And we love you guys. And if there's anything that, we can do to help anybody, I want to do it. I don't care what flag you fly under, but I do think that personally, our American tax dollars should probably take care of American business first. Just kind of my opinion. I don't think our veterans should be without ever. And I really don't think that that we should have natural disasters like we've had, in Hawaii, and was it up in Ohio and stuff, different things that's happened over the past couple of years or whatever. I don't think that should ever happen. Right.
Well, the perspective is we think that we're free and we want to go around the world and be a pain in the ass to everyone who isn't free so that we can talk them in or fight them into becoming free so that they can be like America and be able to freely starve to death this winter too.
Well, you know what? I thought that too, Terry, but I got a new perspective on it. It's not, if it was so simple as that, I would agree with you 100%, but I think it's even simpler and we've overlooked it. Think of it this way. How much money is it? I seen where Burns said that he was in Germany. I'm assuming he served. How much money is there when we go into these NATO and allied countries and we build these U.S. military bases? Think of all the monies that's exchanged in there because, well, first of all, we're making money because we're literally going over there and being a part of their economy, and we're on the back take of making money from some whatever, right? Yeah, Dark Watch. I know, tinfoil hat, whatever.
He's just jealous because he doesn't have one.
You know what? Jealous. You can make your own, what is it, Reynolds wrap or whatever it is. You can make you a tinfoil hat, Dark Watch. But if you do, you got to make sure you put Legicator on it.
Remember, Dark Watch is a little special, so you have to put on the kid gloves. Legicator, don't hurt him.
Oh, okay, okay. And that's what I was getting to, Burns, is why, when you think about it, think of it this way. If you're a country like let's just say Germany, for instance, who doesn't have anywhere near the military might to be able to keep those evil Soviets at bay, we're going to do you a favor. We're going to literally drive the big war machine over there, and we're going to take the world's biggest military, and we're going to put them right over there, and we're going to protect you. And you know what it does? It allows us to be able to make more money because we can, in turn, take American weapons that we sell all over the world, F-16s, F-35s, and so on and so forth, Abrams tanks and whatever, and we'll just make more of them because we need it. And in return, guess what? We're going to make money from it. It's money. It's literally money. The powers that be. I mean,
the American war machine is worth more money than most other systems and institutions on Earth. Just saying.
The American military budget is the number one highest military budget in the world. The number 2 through 10 don't equal what ours is. Think about that. Our military budget is greater than 2 through 10. And if you think about,
I'm sorry,
go
I
ahead.
was just going to say it's too bad that we the people really don't have any kind of a say or influence whatsoever on how our money is spent. They just beat us up, threaten us, take it away from us, and give it to that guy over there.
Wait a minute, Terry. Now you bite your tongue. You mean to tell me you wouldn't have sent your $9 billion to Iran to fund a terrorist? Or you wouldn't have left our weapons over there in Afghanistan because it was more expensive to get them home?
I'm going to make a profound statement. If I would happen to, for some weird ass reason, wake up in 2024 as the president of the United States, I mean, if people were dumb enough to vote for me, one of my first official actions of my presidency, which would probably have me assassinated in less time than it took me to write it down, but I would immediately call home every single person and piece of equipment. Anything that the United States owns comes home right now. I would triple the border security of this country, and I'd tell the rest of the world to fuck off. And when I had my own shit pumping again, when we were back to being America, maybe we'll open up our borders and start worrying about the neighbors again. But until then, we have to take care of number one, because it's the only ones we're not trying to take care of is us.
Well, here's my
thing.
It
annoys me.
I'm all about taking care of whoever we can through humanitarian aid or whatever we have to do, or even military support where they need it. What I don't agree with is when we're paying places like Iran, who are blatantly the enemy of the West, we're literally paying them to not make nuclear weapons. Hello, what happened to good old fashioned don't do it or we'll whoop your ass? I mean, that's exactly what the Trump. I'm not a big Trump fan, but what happened? Same thing happened, when Jimmy Carter was in office and they had the hostages and stuff, and Iran was they had that big freaking badass until there was somebody come in there when Ronald Reagan came in office and he says, "Hey, you either let our hostages go or it's going to be bad for you." Because when you literally play games with these guys and you fund them and you give them money, guess what? I promise, Mr. President, we're not going to use that money for bad stuff. Are you freaking stupid? Are you seriously sending $9 billion to a country that's the number one funding nation of terrorism, and then you're surprised that Israel gets attacked?
Well, remember also too, if you look at another country or another person and tell them, look, you have to do this, and if you don't, we are going to do this. The problem is this: we didn't go far enough with this. We needed to do that too. And America likes to throw their weight around and create some problems, but we don't really ever try to win the war. We don't really ever try to stop the problem. We're kind of like doctors keep putting a Band-Aid on the profuse bleeding.
Well, the problem is, and I've heard this, and I think this was written in some type of military strategy book. I'm probably going to mess this quote up, but wars are generational. The problem is we go in and we fight wars for a couple years at a time and we beat our enemy. But what we don't realize is as long as we're not completely obliterating the ideal, it's not going to change. The next generation is just going to rise up and do it. So your best bet is as bad as it sounds. And I'm not about this. I don't want to see destruction of anybody, but you're either going to have to make a choice. You're either going to go in and obliterate everybody, which I don't want to do, or stay the fuck out of it. I mean, seriously. I mean, just literally, unless they attack us or attack our immediate allies, or it costs us something, internationally that costs us peace, then just leave it alone, right? We don't need to be putting money in that. Just my opinion. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge supporter of Israel because obviously you guys know my faith. I stand with Israel 100%. And this is not a Ukraine thing. I'm not doing that crap like, oh, you're just a bandwagon. No, I'm not. Because to be honest with you, I didn't really stand with Ukraine. I feel bad for them. I don't like anybody to have to be at war. But I don't think the ideology of the Ukraine thought is exactly what I really want to be part of. I don't think that's something we need to be involved in. But with Israel, I'm sorry, but I disagree. I think these are a bunch of kids over there that were literally just being attacked and they're cutting the heads off children and stuff. That's not, there's no way to justify that. These guys are animals, they're savages, and they're killing children and they're attacking civilians and stuff. And guess what? We're responsible. I'm not going to say we're directly responsible, but you can't help but think that we have something there, that there's some way that's tied in. We can't send that much money over there, billions and billions of dollars into that, funneling directly into that. And the same thing happened with ISIS when we took down the Saddam Hussein in Iraq. We birthed ISIS and we weaponized them to be our enemy. And then we've done the same thing with Afghanistan with the Taliban or whatever and Hamas. It's all the same thing. It's an ideology that hates the West. It's anti-neocolonialism.
It almost sounds like they created the unrest that we have in the Middle East there and their attitudes toward the rest of the world. It almost sounds like it was orchestrated right here from home, don't it?
And it almost sounds like there might be money behind that, don't it?
Somebody's probably getting paid somewhere.
Well, you can't. Don't you think it's ironic that we have the biggest oil deposit ever found on American soil and we're not touching it?
Well, of course not. We're going to take everybody else's and keep ours for last.
Well, the problem is it's literally been scientifically proven that the thought of oil being a plenishable resource is not true. They've actually been proven that it literally continues to regenerate. It's not like something we're ever going to really run out of. You know what we're doing it for is because OPEC's not involved. And if OPEC's not involved, then guess what? The powers that be in Washington ain't making money. So guess what? You guys have heard.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say real fast is you guys have heard that song from what's that guy, the Oliver Anthony guy that hit the big, he kind of hit the top of the billboard there with that Richmond, north of Richmond. If that doesn't tell the tale right there, I don't care what flag or donkey or elephant or whatever. If the reality is they want power, and when they have the power, they have the right to be able to make money from it. And if they can make money from it and they have the power to be able to do so, they're going to do it. And that's what we run up against.
Could you imagine another industry that you shopped in, perhaps Walmart or McDonald's or something, where you walk in and at any given time, right before you've decided to place your order, the price of that burger may rise or fall, depending on how much a cow costs on the national market. Kind of like a barrel of oil, how it'll, they say, directly affects the price of gas, which makes no sense to me. The gas station paid the same amount for the gas they have in that tank, yet the price has changed 15 times this week on it. You know what I mean? So, why is that even allowed? And how does that even sound like a good idea to the average American?
Well, it's not. But the problem is once again, it's because it comes back to Washington. It comes back to the fact that the powers that be, the powers that we elect, the powers that are put in Washington have their hands in it, just like they do the war machine. Oh, we hate that there's a fight in Ukraine, but I'm a stockholder in Lockheed Martin who produces the freaking F-35s, and we sell those babies at $100 billion a piece. So we just keep sending those babies over there, and we're going to keep making a fortune. Well, of course you are. So you're going to keep funding that war machine. It's crazy. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that during the Cold War, that the conservatives, and I consider myself a conservative, but the Reagan conservatives literally pushed the agenda, calling the Soviets pushing a war machine. You know why? Because they're mad that they didn't get to, that we didn't get to. You know what I mean? It's like, there's AKs all over the world because blah, blah, blah. Well, now there's AR-15s all over the world or AR-15, derivative rifles, M4s of some sort. War equals money. Burns, you said it right there. Because war, literally, you know what? If you're having an economic breakdown, then you need one of two things. You need one of two things. Either you need a war. I'm getting ready to say it. I'm going to make some people mad. You need a war or you need a pandemic.
Well, you definitely need some type of an emergency to
Well,
capitalize on.
let me rephrase that. You're right. You worded that better. Yes, you worded it better than me. Crisis would have been the word. You need war crisis. Because guess what? If it's a war, you have to have weapons. There's not an option. It doesn't become almost capitalism at that point. It takes away the capitalist thought because it's not an option to be able to buy something. You have to, right? Or if you're sick or you think you're going to be sick, you have to be able to have this. The problem that I had with the C word wasn't the fact that the vaccines, I don't care if you want to take a vaccine, I don't care. It's the fact that when the powers that be, the private people from the industry are intermingling with the government powers that be, and then there's money involved in it. Yes. Thank you, Glober Mom. Never waste a good crisis. There could be dollar bills behind that. We could have made money. You know what? Right. And all it takes is if think about this. I've always heard, what's a supply and demand, right? It's a basis for capitalism, right? So if I have the supply but I don't have the demand, I'll just make the damn demand.
You know what's funny sometimes about what they call supply and demand, or at least my limited hillbilly understanding of it, the less there is, the more they have to fucking charge me for it, because somehow that makes it better. When there's less of it, I have to pay more to get it. Somehow that makes it all better to have and get. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if we know that like next week there's going to be another million of them made,
Yeah, like bread. Do you remember when all that happened?
Supply and demand.
When the bread thing, what's funny is like I used to, my dad used to say all the time, he used to tease around when we'd have snowstorms coming and he'd say, I swear, I think the bread and milk people are the ones that are paying the weatherman, right? Because let's face it, you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys, if anybody in the chat right now lives in a place that's affected by severe weather, you guys know what I'm talking about. As soon as they call for snow, as soon as they call for something, you go to the store and you can't get in that place. And are you sure if you do get in that place, are not going to find bread and milk and eggs or whatever? And for whatever reason, that's the one thing that everybody always gets. It's like they've been conditioned to think, I got to get bread, eggs, and milk. They're like, man, you haven't eaten an egg in a month, but you got to go buy everybody's damn eggs up out the store. It's like.
Well, also they act like they're going to be snowed in for the next 6 months to a year when they know likely it's only going to be a matter of hours.
Yeah, I mean, especially in our area.
We here live like in North Dakota somewhere where we'd be buried under 3 to 6 foot. No, we're lucky to get 3 to 6 inches, and most of it's melted before it hits. And when it don't, it really doesn't take our crews long to clean it up and make it passable.
Well, and I think the problem that we run into too is the fact that we are living in an age now where everything is now. Let's face it. I seen a meme the other day that I kind of got a kick out of. It says me during the 90s, waiting for 3 minutes worth of commercials. And this guy was just smiling and zippity doo-dah. And it says me now, waiting for the 5-second YouTube ad to hit skip. And it's like, it shows him like panicking, like, I gotta go. Right.
That's about right.
Oh man, because it's true. I mean, we live in that age to where that certainly does appear that we have to have everything right now, and if we don't, we're going to panic. Was it Thomas Jefferson or Thomas Paine or somebody that says as long as suffering is sufferable or something along those lines? And that's exactly what keeps us in check. As long as I keep turning on this phone right here.
Right.
And I got service on my phone and I've got electric in my house and I can turn on Netflix and YouTube or whatever I choose. And I can go to work and I can go to the gas station. I can do whatever. Guess what? I'll sit right here and take it just like everybody else does. That's what happens. And that's sad.
Crazy thing that I've heard people talk about is at some point, and of course I've heard this many times throughout the years, but apparently it's coming around again somewhere. I heard the other day that at some point there, for some reason, whether it be an EMP or whatever, or a hack, or the electronics will go down and we'll be forced to live without them. And I sit back just being a dumbass hillbilly on a muddy hillside, guys. I'm not the smartest guy, but I sat back the other day thinking, yeah, and they just went and tested this whole alert system to make sure that they can tell us where to be, what to do in every fucking emergency. And the only reason they did that is because they know they're never going to get to use it. They made sure everybody's got one in their fucking hand, but that's the first thing that's going to be taken away. I don't think so. I don't think so. I say get ready for a future that you can't imagine yet. There's crazy stuff going on.
I will say honestly, we are living in a time to where, as bad as it sounds, it's hard to trust anybody. It really is. It's hard to trust anybody, especially not government. And I can tell you, even as a police officer and a captain of a police office, as a police department, if you trust your government, you're foolish. And I don't mean that as in our local government, whatever, as my police department, because I feel like I've worked with some of the best men around. My guys are top notch. They're good kids. They make mistakes. They're humans. But I really believe that, generally speaking, they have a good heart. But that doesn't mean that goes up the higher you go up the ladder where there's more money involved, it's easy to be tempted. It's easy to be in a position to where these guys, like I said, are driven by negative things, and that turns out bad, right? So listen, I'm going to wrap this up because I've got some kids to take care of, to get them something to eat, and I'm going to have to get me a few hours sleep before work. But Terry, I'm going to give you the opportunity to be able to speak to the chat or any message you want to put across, and then we will wrap this thing up.
Well, I definitely want to say a quick hello and goodbye to everybody out there in the chat. Sorry we didn't pay as much attention to you as we usually do.
Sorry, guys.
Had a great time. You guys know I love each and every one of you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for taking the ride with us. And Captain, absolutely honored to be here. Thank you. And
thank you very much.
Hopefully we get to do this more often, because I miss it.
I agree. I do too. I was just thinking about that, actually, how much I actually do miss it. So, but let me say this, guys, no matter what we've talked about today, if I offended anybody, I apologize. I just kind of speak the truth the way I see it. And it's possible I'm wrong, because I've made a lot of mistakes. I am just, I'm a human, right? I make mistakes. I want to let you know that you guys do mean a lot to me, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. We love you to death, and we love having you around. It feels really good to come back out. And I am sorry about the chat. I'm to be honest, I'm rusty. I've kind of been out of it, so I've kind of forgot. So I'm kind of learning again. But we're going to get back at this. We're going to do things. Remember this: your decisions determine your destiny, and the positive things that have influenced you or influence your circle can be changed by you. You can wake up today or tomorrow or whatever and have the opportunity to do positive things and influence people in a positive, loving, kind way, or not. And remember this: the Bible says that God is love, and we have the opportunity to be able to reflect that to people. Do the right thing for the right reasons, you'll get the right results, no matter what. I promise. You'll never be sorry. You're never going to look back and say, I've done the right thing and it sucks. Oh yeah, sometimes it sucks because it hurts, but ultimately the decisions that were made in the final say so, you're like, you know what, I've done the right thing. That's what matters. So remember, do the right thing for the right reasons and get the right results. If you have the opportunity to bless somebody, do so. Never, ever, ever, the same way we were talking about never miss a good crisis. You can turn that away to the good things too, right? You can literally turn that around and say, never miss the opportunity to be able to bless somebody if you can, right? The Bible says we are blessed to be a blessing. So if you can bless somebody, do something. Love on them, pat them on the back.
It's just plain fun to do too.
It is.
Do it and prove me wrong if you think that's not correct.
I agree. But guys, I appreciate you guys sticking with me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, just consider to do so. I'm trying to come back out of this. I'm going to get back at it with us or with you guys or whatever. Consider, supporting the channel by liking, subscribing the video, share the video, get us some people in here, because the more people we have to hang out with, the more fun it is. Whether we like our opinions or not, it just makes it more entertaining. And we never know what topics we're going to talk about. But we do know that with this season coming up and with the trick-or-treat thing, Halloween type thing, we're probably going to do something with Spencer on that really soon. So stay tuned for that. And we got a lot of good things coming up. We are going to do good things. I still want to do some stuff with Terry. I'm going to get with Terry privately and talk about some stuff I don't want to publicize right now, but I want to talk about them with you in private, and then we'll come back and do something about it. But I have some ideas coming up. But the bottom line, and the really reason that I wanted to say this, and the main thing I wanted to get it back, is I'm back. We're going to get this going again, guys. We love you guys. We miss you guys. I promise we will see you soon. Spread the word. Get them in here. Love on them. Remember, Hug a Troll Tuesday. Always take the opportunity to let a troll know you love them. You think they're special. Always. And as always, if you train like you fight, I promise you, when it comes time, you will fight like you train. God bless you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Good night, everybody.